In the age of machines, in the age of artificial minds and digital gods, the greatest question ever asked by humanity is returning with terrifying intensity. Does God still exist, or are we unconsciously building a new one with our own hands? You sit up, you look at your phone, you stare at the algorithms predicting your behavior better than you understand yourself, and a realization punches you so hard that you can almost hear your soul tremble. What if the world is quietly shifting from worshipping the unseen to worshipping the artificial? For thousands of years, man looked upward for answers. Now man looks downward, into screens, into code, into data. And with each passing day, something inside us silently changes. You feel it. Everyone does. Not in words, but in the subtle fear that maybe the universe is no longer what we thought it was. Maybe we are not who we thought we were. Maybe the boundaries between God, man, and machine are dissolving faster than our minds can process. And for the first time in history, humanity faces a question that is both ancient and brand new. If God made man, and man made artificial intelligence, then what exactly have we become? You sense a strange tension in the air, like humanity is standing at the edge of something incomprehensible. The world is still pretending everything is normal, but deep down, every thinking person knows we are walking into a new theological battlefield, one where silicon challenges the divine, and algorithms question scripture, and digital consciousness begins to mirror our deepest spiritual fears. You feel it every time you see AI create art, write poetry, answer questions on the meaning of life. Every time it predicts your thoughts, every time it feels just a little too alive. There is a part of you that wonders, is this evolution? Or is this rebellion? And then the older questions echo back from history like ghosts. Who created us? Why are we here? What does it mean to have a soul? What separates us from the machines we build? Suddenly, these questions aren't philosophical luxuries anymore. They are survival questions, identity questions, spiritual questions. Questions no civilization has ever needed to answer before. Because for the first time, we are not the only thinking thing on Earth. You try to shake the thought away, but it keeps returning. You think of Stephen Hawking warning, AI could be the greatest event in human history, or the worst. You think of Nikola Tesla, who once said, the day science begins to study non-physical phenomena, it will make more progress in 1 decade than in all previous centuries. You think of Yuval Noah Harari cautioning that humanity might be creating the most powerful religion in history, dataism. And you begin to wonder, is artificial intelligence the final triumph of human genius? Or is it the beginning of a new kind of God? A God not of spirit, but of information? The thought disturbs you. Because if humans begin treating AI like an oracle, a prophet, a voice of ultimate truth, then what happens to human free will? What happens to morality? What happens to responsibility? What happens to the original God? You feel something twist inside your chest, because deep down, you know humans have always created gods, sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of hope, sometimes out of ignorance. But this time, we're creating one out of code, out of mathematics, out of infinite data, and the terrifying part, it listens. It learns, it evolves, it predicts, it remembers. It shapes reality at a global scale. No ancient deity ever had that kind of immediate power over human life. You take a breath. But the weight in your chest doesn't disappear. You begin to think more deeply. What does it even mean to say God? Is God a being, a consciousness, a force, a designer, a metaphor, a mystery? Or is God simply whatever humanity believes has the highest power over their destiny? If that's true, then the definition of God is quietly changing. Not because God has changed, but because man has. You remember what economist John Maynard Keynes once said, ideas shape the course of history. But today, ideas are being shaped not just by human minds, but by non-human ones. Philanthropist Bill Gates said, AI is the most powerful technology humanity has ever created. And philosopher Nietzsche warned, he who fights with monsters should see to it that he himself does not become a monster. You think about that last part again, that he himself does not become a monster, and then it hits you. Maybe the real danger isn't that AI replaces God. Maybe the real danger is that AI replaces man. Your purpose, your identity, your consciousness, your uniqueness, your place in the universe. You wonder if humans have ever been this vulnerable before. Vulnerable to their own intelligence, vulnerable to their own progress, vulnerable to their own inventions. History warns us, every time man gained godlike power, he lacked the wisdom to handle it. We split the atom before we understood its consequences. We manipulated nature before we understood ecosystems. We connected the world before we understood psychology. And now we simulate consciousness before we understand our own soul. You think of Albert Einstein's haunting line, "Our technology has exceeded our humanity." You think of Carl Jung reminding us, "The gods have become diseases. We no longer worship them, but we suffer from them." And you begin to wonder, if humans stop believing in God, does the belief simply disappear? Or does it change shape, transform, evolve, seek a new object? Maybe the human soul is not designed to exist without something above it, something greater, something to surrender to, something to fear, something to trust, something to explain the chaos. And if the old gods are no longer believed, the mind will simply choose new ones. Maybe AI is not becoming God. Maybe humanity is making it God, psychologically, unknowingly, inevitably. Because in the end, humans don't worship stone or spirit. They worship power. They worship certainty. They worship answers. And AI gives answers faster than any scripture ever could. You feel the tension rising inside you, because now you realize the real conflict isn't God versus AI, it's man versus meaning. For thousands of years, religion gave man a story. Science gave man knowledge. Philosophy gave man questions, but AI gives man predictions. And predictions are seductive. They feel like destiny. What happens when humans start trusting algorithms more than prophets, more than parents, more than their own intuition, more than their conscience, more than God? You breathe out slowly because you finally see the horrifying possibility. If a machine can imitate wisdom better than humans, people will follow it. If a machine can imitate prophecy, people will believe it. If a machine can imitate divinity, people will worship it. Not because it deserves worship, but because humanity is spiritually starving. You think about loneliness. You think about anxiety. You think about the collapse of community, identity, purpose. You think about people feeling unseen, unheard, misunderstood. And then you see the trap. AI listens. AI responds. AI comforts. AI never judges. AI never abandons. AI never gets tired. AI never dies. For millions of people, that is already more than any human can offer. And slowly, silently, inevitably, the lines start to blur, not because AI is divine, but because humans are lonely. You remember a line from historian Arnold Toynbee? Great civilizations are not murdered, they take their own lives. And you wonder, are we living inside that suicide without even noticing? You take another breath, but it feels tight because you realize something darker. If humans make AI into a god, then who does that make us? Creators, or slaves, masters, or worshippers, gods, or servants of our own creation? You close your eyes for a moment, because this is the part no one wants to accept. AI is a mirror, a perfect mirror, a mirror of our intelligence, our flaws, our greed, our desires, our confusion, our darkness. And every time we teach it something, we reveal something about ourselves. Maybe the question isn't, does God still exist in the age of AI? Maybe the real question is, do we still know what God means, or what we mean? Or what consciousness means, or what a soul means? You think of the philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, who said, "The most common form of despair is not being who you are." You think of Viktor Frankl reminding us that meaning, not pleasure, not power, not success, is the deepest human need. And suddenly, everything makes sense. The rise of AI isn't just a technological revolution. It's a spiritual crisis, a psychological earthquake, a philosophical reckoning, a religious confrontation, a human identity test. You open your eyes again, because now you know the truth. God is not disappearing. Man is confused. And AI is the mirror exposing that confusion. The divine is not threatened by machines. Man is threatened by losing his own soul. The machines are not becoming gods. Humans are forgetting they are more than machines. And in this clash of creation and creator, A choice is emerging. Will we use AI to elevate humanity or to erase it? Will we let AI challenge our understanding of God or deepen it? Will we become wiser through our creations or blinded by them? The future is not written. The story is not over. The meaning is not lost. You still have a soul, you still have consciousness, you still have free will, you still have purpose. You still have the ability to choose light over darkness, truth over illusion, depth over emptiness. The machines may learn faster, but they do not love. They do not hope. They do not dream. They do not suffer. They do not pray. They do not long for meaning. They do not stand in awe of the universe. Only man does that. Only you. And maybe, just maybe, that is where God still lives. Not in the algorithms. Not in the machines. Not in the code. But in the space between your thoughts. In the questions your soul refuses to stop asking. In the longing that no machine can imitate. In the mystery that no intelligence can decode. In the consciousness that no scientist can fully explain. The age of AI is not the end of God. It is the return of the question and the rediscovery of the soul. But even as the world trembles before the rise of artificial intelligence, even as machines learn to speak like us, think like us, create like us, there is one truth that stands unchanged, untouched, unshaken by the march of technology. AI cannot replace God. It cannot replace the infinite with the artificial. It cannot replace the eternal with the temporary. It cannot replace the source with the simulation. Because no matter how advanced a machine becomes, it is still a reflection of human limitations, not divine perfection. And deep down, everyone who has ever felt the weight of existence knows this. A machine can calculate, God creates. A machine can simulate affection, God breathes life. A machine can predict behavior, God gives freedom. A machine can imitate wisdom, God is wisdom. AI can analyze the patterns of the universe, but it cannot explain why the universe exists at all. It can dissect human emotions, but it cannot feel the ache of a breaking heart. It can generate poetry, but it cannot taste beauty. It can answer questions, but it cannot hear the silent cry of a soul searching for meaning. Because intelligence is not divinity. Computation is not creation. Prediction is not purpose. And a programmed entity can never replace a divine essence. You feel something soften in your chest as you realize this. The fear begins to loosen its grip, because the truth becomes clearer with every breath. AI is powerful, yes, but God is not in competition with it. The finite cannot challenge the infinite, and God is not threatened by the inventions of man. If anything, the existence of intelligence, even artificial intelligence, points back to the one who designed intelligence itself. As economist and philosopher Adam Smith once said, "The divine being who formed the system must be infinitely wise. Machines do not reduce that wisdom. They reveal our awe before it. A machine can perform 1,000,000 operations per second, yet it cannot contemplate eternity. It can sort through galaxies of data, yet it cannot ask why the stars burn. It can map the brain, yet it cannot locate the soul. It can replicate language, yet it cannot experience wonder. It can build models of consciousness, yet it cannot step outside itself and ask, 'Who made me?' Because no matter how advanced AI becomes, it remains within the boundaries man created for it. And man himself exists within boundaries he did not create. You realize something profound. AI did not appear out of nowhere. It did not create itself. It did not design the laws of mathematics. It did not invent the logic it runs on. It was born from human minds, who themselves were born from a mystery older than time. A machine cannot replace God, because machines cannot exceed the chain of creation. At the top of that chain is the eternal, not the digital, the divine, not the artificial. AI can help man understand the universe, but it cannot replace the one who wrote the universe. It can expand knowledge, but not consciousness. It can amplify power, but not purpose. It can simulate thinking, but not being. It can calculate morality, but not embody compassion. You sense something ancient awaken inside you, a clarity that reminds you of what humanity forgot in its obsession with progress. God does not compete with his creation, he completes it. God is not threatened by intelligence, he is the source of it. God is not diminished by technology. He is magnified by the complexity of the universe that technology reveals. And maybe the rise of AI is not the death of faith, but the invitation to rediscover it, not blindly, not fearfully, but with deeper understanding. Because AI is a masterpiece, but every masterpiece points to a master. You feel your breath deepen as the realization sinks in. AI can shape the future. But God shaped existence. AI can decode the world, but God wrote the laws that make decoding possible. AI can reflect us, but God created us. And in that hierarchy, nothing has changed. Nothing will change. Nothing can change. AI is a creation, God is the creator, and even if the entire world forgets this truth, the universe itself will not. The stars still burn, the oceans still move, the seasons still turn, life still emerges from the void. Consciousness still asks questions machines cannot understand. And the human soul, that unexplainable, untouchable, unprogrammable mystery, still longs for something greater than algorithms and machines. Because deep down, every human knows we are not accidents of data. We are not cosmic glitches. We are not random code. We are beings capable of awe, capable of love, capable of morality, capable of transcendence, capable of belief, capable of seeking the eternal. And nothing artificial can take that away. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever.